Right bracket Chapter 9. Spirits and Spiritual Manifestations. I saw Abraham when he came back from the earth, and many of the notable ones when they came back to be crowned. I saw them step upon the platform of the gods and receive their crowns, and enter into their exaltations. Messiah Hancock JRNL. Vision of M. Hancock Addendum, page 3. What the Mormon religion calls spirit, the reincarnationists call soul, the entity that is the life, the intelligence and the immortal part that leaves the body at death. The reincarnationist, L.S. Cooper, wrote, "Upon going to sleep or at death, the aura is withdrawn from the physical body, and it is then possible to study it by itself to see what it is like. It has been found that it is a life-size duplicate or counterpart of the physical body. We appear exactly as we do here because of the counterpart of the physical body. And realize that our consciousness can use such a form much more easily than it can a physical body." Reincarnation, A Hope of the World, Cooper, page 36. This is identical to the brother of Jed's description of the spirit body of Christ. Apostle Orson Pratt recounted, "Well, that body, the body of the Lord that the brother of Jed saw, was a personal body. It had fingers, a face, eyes, arms, hands, and all the various parts which the human body has, so much so that he thought it was really flesh and bones, right bracket, until he was corrected and found that it was the spirit of Jesus, that same spirit, says Jesus, which, in the meridian of time, should come and take a body, and die for the sins of the world." JD 19:316. When Jesus appeared to the brother of Jed, he said, "Behold, this body, which ye now behold, is the body of my spirit." Ether 3:16, indicating that he had not yet received a physical or mortal body. He had not yet ever been born on an earth, nor passed through death or resurrection. He even stated that all men were created in the beginning after mine own image, v15, showing that he and all of mankind were first born as spirits without a physical body, and came into mortality to obtain one. There is a major difference between the good 2/3 and evil 1/3 spirits. The good ones are born innocent into mortality, the evil ones come to earth without a body, but with plans to possess one. Reincarnationists generally believe that all spirits will go through enough mortal lives to eventually reach the godhood status. According to reincarnationists, the good spirits get a longer period of rest before returning to earth, while the bad ones make a quick return. Irving Cooper theorized, "The length of the period between incarnations has been found by actual investigation to range from 5 years in cases of the lowest human types to 2,300 years in cases of the most developed, who still find it necessary to incarnate for the acquirement of a few remaining lessons." Reincarnation, Cooper, page 46. Apostle John A. Whitsoe comments on this strange system of repeated births on earth. Right bracket By reincarnation the power of God seems also to be limited. He uses the same, relatively few, spirits over and over again, endlessly, to accomplish whatever may be his purpose. He seems to be short of material and vague in his purpose. This is out of harmony with the gospel, which teaches that there is a host of spirits waiting to take upon themselves mortal bodies. Evid. And Recon. Page 368. Paradise, or the spirit world, has a very limited purpose and value for those believing that they must continually come to earth to gain more experience. With the restoration of the gospel, revelation once again came from heaven to man. For 1800 years there had been a heavenly silence, but when Joseph Smith began to have revelations from God, it seemed to open the floodgates to all kinds of revelation. Apparently, a seal had been broken, and the devil was given equal rights, and was allowed to give as many revelations as the Lord. Our generation is characterized by a wide variety of spiritual mediums and revelators. Brigham Young gave an important key as to why so many of these deceptive revelations were being given to men. It was told you here that Brother Joseph warned the elders of Israel against false spirits. It was revealed to me that if the people did not receive the spirit of revelation that God had sent for the salvation of the world, they would receive false spirits, and would have revelation. Men would have revelation, women would have revelation, the priest in the pulpit and the deacon under the pulpit would have revelation, and the people would have revelation enough to damn the whole nation, and nations of them, unless they would hearken to the voice of God. It was not only revealed to Joseph, but to your humble servant, that false spirits would be as prevalent and as common among the inhabitants of the earth as we now see them. JD 13:280-281. This cannot be emphasized too strongly, as the reason why many today are experiencing revelations when the Lord himself seems to be rather silent at this time. Perhaps an example of how prevalent and common they may be is described by Elizabeth Clare Prophet. As I was walking down the street in Santa Barbara one autumn day in 1974, I sensed a presence and found myself accompanied by none other than Gabriel himself. He graciously escorted me into a cafe, and as I sipped a cup of tea and wrote his words on a napkin, he dictated to me the program for a seminar he directed me to hold in San Francisco, called Portals of Purity. *******. I am always impressed at their naturalness and daring. Mysteries of the Holy Grail, Prophet, page 8. Fortunately, the prophet Joseph Smith has explained the importance of discerning true and false spirits, which often seem very similar. A man must have the discerning of spirits before he can drag into daylight this hellish influence, and unfold it unto the world in all its soul-destroying, diabolical, and horrid colors, for nothing is a greater injury to the children of men than to be under the influence of a false spirit when they think they have the Spirit of God. Thousands have felt the influence of its terrible power and baneful effects. Long pilgrimages have been undertaken, penances endured, and pain, misery and ruin have followed in their train. Nations have been convulsed, kingdoms overthrown, provinces laid waste, and blood, carnage and desolation are habiliments in which it has been clothed. As we have noticed before, the great difficulty lies in the ignorance of the nature of spirits, of the laws by which they are governed, and the signs by which they may be known. It requires the Spirit of God to know the things of God, and the spirit of the devil can only be unmasked through that medium. The world always mistook false prophets for true ones, and those that were sent of God, they considered to be false prophets. TPJS, pages 205 to 206. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a parapsychologist, has delved into the possibilities of reincarnation through the spiritual force and experiences of some individuals. Author of the book Telepathic Impressions, he explains that people have had visual images of things happening a considerable distance away. In another book called Xenography, he relates cases in which a person can speak a language that he has not previously learned by any normal method. Also, Dr. Stevenson describes instances where a woman under hypnosis will suddenly speak in a man's voice, and even give the name of a man speaking. He mentions people who suddenly write in the handwriting of someone who is dead, or in some foreign or dead language, which is beyond the experience or learning of that individual. One of his studies included cryptomnesia, which is the ability of an individual to remember an unknown person or circumstance, which later proved to be an actual person or place. Dr. Stevenson also wrote the book 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation, in which he gives some interesting situations in support of reincarnation. For example, he describes the case of Thompson and Gifford, which is a good example of apparent possession by spirits. Thompson became compelled to take up painting and painted certain scenes that came to his mind. A number of scenes were closely identified to those already painted by Gifford. Thompson said, "During the time I was sketching, I remember having the impression that I was Mr. Gifford himself, and I would tell my wife before starting out that Mr. Gifford wanted to go sketching." Page 374. The problem in dealing with all of these spirits is the difficulty of distinguishing one from the other. How does one detect an evil spirit or a good spirit when they both can reveal, manifest, and perform acts which so closely resemble each other? Brigham Young clarified. There are many elders in this house who, if I had the power to mesmerize that vase and make it dance on that table, would say that it was done by the power of God. Who could tell whether it was done by the power of God or the power of the devil? No person, unless he had the revelations of Jesus Christ within him. I suppose you are ready to ask Brother Brigham if he thinks the power of the devil could make the vase dance. Yes, and could take it up and carry it outdoors, just as easy as to turn up a table and move it here and there, or to cause a rap, or to bake and pass around pancakes, or to get hold of a person's hand and make him write in every style you can think of. Imitating George Washington's, Benjamin Franklin's, Joseph Smith's, and Arthur's autographs. Can you tell whether that is by the power of God or by the power of the devil? No, unless you have the revelations of Jesus Christ. JD 3:157. From an article entitled Spiritual Manifestations, there was included a statement from New York Judge Edmonds, who had spent years investigating reports of spiritual powers. The New York Herald, August 7, 1853, reported, In the meantime, another feature attracted my attention, and that was physical manifestations as they are termed. Thus, I have known a pine table with 4 legs, lifted bodily up from the floor, in the center of a circle of 6 or 8 persons, turned upside down, and laid upon its top at our feet, then lifted up over our heads, and put leaning against the back of the sofa on which we sat. I have known that same table to be tilted up on 2 legs, its top at an angle with the floor of 45 degrees, when it neither fell over of itself, nor could any person present put it back on its 4 legs. ****. Right bracket I have known a dinner bell taken from a high shelf in a closet, rung over the heads of 4 or 5 persons in that closet, then rung around the room over the heads of 12 or 15 persons in the back parlor, and then borne through the folding doors to the farther end of the front parlor, and there dropped on the floor. I have frequently known persons pulled about with a force which it was impossible for them to resist, and once, when all my own strength was added in vain to that of the one thus affected, I have known a mahogany chair thrown on its side and move swiftly back and forth on the floor, no one touching it, through a room where there were at least a dozen people sitting, yet no one was touched, and it was repeatedly stopped within a few inches of me, when it was coming with a violence which, if not arrested, must have broken my legs. This is not a tithe, nay, not 100th part of what I have witnessed of the same character, but it is enough to show the general nature of what was before me. Mill. Star. 15:653, 654. If the principle of multiple mortal births is a false doctrine, then evil spirits will do all they can to promote it. Brigham Young warned that discernment was vital in detecting the difference between good and bad spirits and revelations. I will ask, is there any revelation in the world? Yes, plenty of it. We are accused of being nothing more nor less than a people possessing what they term the high order of spiritualism. Whenever I see this in print, or hear it spoken, you are right, say I. Yes, we belong to that high order of spiritualism, our revelations are from above, yours from beneath. This is the difference. We receive revelation from heaven, you receive your revelations from every foul spirit that has departed this life, and gone out of the bodies of mobbers, murderers, highwaymen, drunkards, thieves, liars, and every kind of debauched character, whose spirits are floating around here, and searching and seeking whom they can destroy, for they are the servants of the devil. And they are right bracket permitted to come now to reveal to the people. JD 13:281. Many cases of revelation or manifestations have been discovered to be a form of entertainment, and were fraudulently reported to get gain. Some incidents defy normal physical or psychological explanation, and so extrasensory perception is the automatic conclusion, meaning that information is perceived from sources beyond our normal physical world. After an exhaustive study into reincarnation, the Church of Herbert W. Armstrong's humorized their findings. Although the Bible shows that human beings are not reincarnated, it also shows that lying spirits or demons have been around since long before man. They remember what took place in the past. When a person's mind becomes receptive to suggestion, such as may occur under hypnosis, it is possible for a spirit to recite historically verifiable information through the human. The Bible reveals that there are even occasions where it is possible for a fallen spirit to take over or possess a willing human mind. The Spirit World, Pub. By Worldwide Church of God, page 23. The unreliability of using hypnosis to confirm past events or previous lives has been recently substantiated. Numerous scholarly studies have verified the danger of using hypnotism as a tool for reconstructing memories, either memories of this life or memories of a presumed previous incarnation. The unreliability of such hypnotically derived memories is sufficiently great that the AMA, American Medical Association, has indicated that previously hypnotized witnesses should not give testimony in court concerning the matters about which they have been hypnotized. One of the reasons hypnotic subjects are not reliable purveyors of historic facts is because the inclination to write bracket confabulate, make up information, and to draw inferences to fill in missing information is apparently greater in hypnosis, and, as a consequence, can render the memory reports of hypnotized individuals deceptively more believable than normal recall. This enhanced believability of the hypnotized subject can confuse even the therapist. In addition to confabulating information under hypnosis, there is evidence that other exogenous sources such as books, movies, or special childhood and adult relationships may provide material that can be assimilated in a dissociated state and later be recalled under hypnosis as original material believed by the subject to be personal experience. Glimpses of Eternity, Arvin Gibson, 1992, Horizon Pub. Page 305. Examples of hypnotic cases have frequently been cited as proof of reincarnation. However, it remains a very mystical and highly questionable source, as the following example shows. Numerous publicized cases of claimed reincarnation have resulted from the use of hypnotism on people who regressed to former lives, in some cases even speaking in a foreign tongue, or describing detailed experiences in a different era and culture. The most publicized event in the United States was that of Bridie Murphy in 1952. Her story was essentially discounted in subsequent investigations. A similar but more complex case occurred in England in 1976. It was the case of Jane Evans, and it was featured on BBC television. Upon being hypnotized, the 30-year-old housewife regressed into 6 previous existences. Regressed back to Roman times, she recalled a life as Livonia, wife of a tutor to the family of a Roman legate, Constantius, in the 4th century AD. Jane knew substantial details of each life, but the most puzzling was her Roman experience. She gave details of individuals who could be, and were, checked historically for accuracy. She also named other Roman citizens who could not be found in historic documents of the period, but it was assumed these were lesser-known figures who didn't make the history books. One of those checking on the historic accuracy of Jane's story was Melvin Harris, a compulsive browser in second-hand bookstores. He stumbled upon Louis de Wool's historical novel The Living Wood, published in 1947. The novel was devoted to the lives of Constantine, Constantius, and Helena, who lived in 4th century Rome. Moreover, Harris found the names of fictitious individuals whom Jane had named as being among her acquaintances in her previous life. Jane's story collapsed after these and other discoveries. It appeared that she had read and forgotten the novel some years before. It is interesting that under hypnosis she could withdraw from her subconscious memory the details of the story. Ibid. Pages 303 to 304. If deceiving spirits have such power over mortals, it is natural that they would want to use various means of revelation to promote their doctrines and principles, such as reincarnation. It should be noted that many of those groups, agencies, and individuals who believe in reincarnation also believe in and testify of receiving revelation. In many statements and publications by reincarnationists, they claim to have been influenced or dictated to by the spirit of some dead master or Mahatma who has given them visions, dreams, and revelations to do and teach specific things that would promote a belief in reincarnation. How important it is, then, to have the gift of discernment in detecting the source of such spirits and spiritual manifestations.